Welcome back, listeners. We are now at episode 4 of season 7 of the Living Fabulously Fierce podcast. As a reminder, and maybe an introduction for those of you who are just joining us for the first time, in this season, we're focusing on the journey from resilience to joy. We're not abandoning resilience, but we have set the course to progress from what may require us to focus on endurance and persistence, and a lot of catabolic modes of operating, which are not bad, but serve us very differently than anabolic energy. Joy that serves as, energy that serves as joy that is fueling for us, cup filling. And as I thought about, we started with jumping into identity as the first phase. Then we shifted into outgrowing survival, that mindset. And we accepted that requires 2 prongs. So that was episode 2 and 3, releasing and then reclaiming. And at this phase, what I'm calling it is yesing in alignment and intention. So for those of you who are taking notes, again, we started with jumping into identity, outgrowing survival, and here we are with yesing in alignment and intention. And I'm smiling because for those of you who really are note takers, if you're tracking here, you're starting to see something. And I would invite you to let me know what you see, what you're gathering. And I will say the first person who DMs, emails, calls, you name it, me with what they see, gets an hour-long coaching session, one-on-one, live, complimentary from yours truly. So as we yes with, in alignment and with intention, this applies to anything, any area of our life. And I think for me, the most important one right now is relationships. I really am revisiting and refocusing and reinforcing different relationships. This is also not the season about what I don't want or what I'm dismissing from my life in the way of people. It's not that. This is really a mindset shift of calling forth what you want and spending less time centered on what you don't want. And so when I think of the area of relationships for me and wanting to yes in alignment and with intention, I've been really focused in on the types of relationships I want, who I want in my life, not specifically around the people, but what people can present into my life that I either need more of or I don't yet have. As I think about last year, it was just really different. And I'll get really concrete here. Here's one example. One thing I just want more of is laughter. I just want to laugh more in my life. I don't feel like there's a deficit, but there's this desire to get back to being even more playful. Those of you who don't know me, I am silly. I am the best prankster there is. I love a good joke. I love a good laugh. Those closest to me, unfortunately, get those in shared Instagram post or TikTok links. Like, it's all the things. So I love laughter. And so I'm even thinking back to this past weekend. We're now, at the time of recording, we're at our 3rd weekend of the year. And I'm not someone who's always out every single day of the weekend. But this weekend I was, and not just because it was a long weekend in the US, but because everybody who was asking, hey, can we get together? I like really wanted to hang out with. And one person, I just know, when we're together, there's so much laughter. And so Friday night, thank you, Monica, for hanging, because we laughed so much. And we shut that restaurant down. They had to kick us out. I would not recommend that as a habit, having to get told to go home or to leave a restaurant, but that's what I needed. And so when she has to get together, that was a yes in alignment with what I wanted, and the intention being that I give her right back the light that she gives me, and we had a good time. Saturday, long story, but met someone new and we got to hang out, and it was just so nice. It was just so nice. Just a good person, and getting to spend time getting to know each other. And then that night, dinner with another friend who I had not seen in a very long time, who happened to be in town. Apologies, you guys keep seeing me. For those who are watching, looking to my left, there's a very active bird. So this is real life, life of recording podcast and not being in control of nature. And then went out to dinner with a friend I'd not seen in so long, who, for those of you who are tracking Joy Manifesto, you saw the post of her opening her book and reading the first few lines, and then her review. What a blessing. So grateful. So grateful. And then Sunday, my friend Ash was in town. We got together. You guys know Ash. And man, the laughter and just a good time. And light, such a light. I've also been saying I want more big sisters in my life, and she is definitely that. And then have a friend who is here from Switzerland, a coworker who's become a very dear friend. I have not been one to leave my place at 10 o'clock at night to go catch up with someone, but we did. And I know this is sounding like a pattern. I promise it is not. Got kicked out of that place too because they were shutting down. And then Monday, just catching up with someone from home who has also moved out here, and we hadn't gotten a chance to get together in a while. And all we did was go on a walk, but it was so nice. By the time I got to Tuesday, ready for work, I was ready to get back into the norm, but with so much more levity and joy, because I had been refueled. My cup had been made full. And that is because with each ask to get together and hang out, my yes was in alignment with my desires for the relationships I have now. And my actions, my response was intentional in that I knew I was going to be receiving during my time with these folks, and I was going to reciprocate. And so my invitation to you this week, as we focus on the yes in alignment and with intention, one, pick an area of your life that you want to set some criteria around your yeses for. What are your principles? And then, as it relates to intention, what are your intentions around whatever principles you plan to employ to make sure you're in alignment? And then start testing it out. Yeses don't have to come just when you're asked for something or to be something or to do something. Yeses can just be where your presence is going to be. Where are you choosing to show up? Where are you choosing not to? What are you choosing to give yourself? How are you choosing to fill your cup? And lean into more yeses there now that you've set your principles for alignment and your intentions. And I also want to offer you one thing as a question, an inquiry of yourself as you think about this and execute into your yeses. It can be hard to make that shift because it costs other people sometimes. It can be hard to make these shifts because it requires you to be very different, which not everybody's going to love. It may require you to do things differently in a way that is different for you, that creates discomfort. And when this happens, sometimes our trust in self is wavered. And if that's popping up for you, what I invite you to do is sit with this core question. If I trusted myself, what would I choose today? If I trusted myself, what would I choose today? I've been doing that the past week and a half. Asking that question when I feel a little bit of a pause and a waver. And at first it's a little like, huh. And in that, huh, there's a freeing. Trust me, it's there. This week, go and seize it. As always, thank you so much for your time, for your attention. We're going to jump into the second part of this week's episode. So there's more. And for the note takers, you're in for a real treat. For those who are just listening, you are too. And I'd invite you to prepare to listen twice. And with that, we'll take a quick break and then jump into our first guest segment of the season. Welcome to the Living Fabulously Fierce podcast, a shared space for honing in on living with aim. That's authenticity, intention, and mindfully masterful execution. All of this as we journey through the ongoing life process of self-discovery, self-definition, and self-distinction. I'm your host, Farah Bernier, Human Resources Strategy Executive, and certified coach working with fabulously fierce individuals just like you across the globe. Join me as I share coaching tips and resources that you can apply to your own journey to living fabulously fierce. Do keep in mind, while I'm here for you and we'll take on this journey together, this is not meant to be a substitute for live coaching engagements. To find out more about coaching options one-on-one, you've got a few considerations. Feel free to visit www.farahbernier.com, or you can email me at farahbernier@gmail.com. And of course, the Living Fabulously Fierce handle on Instagram is always at your disposal. That's at Living Fabulously Fierce on Instagram. With that, as always, I'm so excited to be here with you today. So let's jump into today's session. Welcome back, listeners. Here we are on the Living Fabulously Fierce podcast for the season where we're focusing on the journey from resilience to joy. I am very excited that we have our very first guest this season. And as usual, I'm going to let my guest introduce herself, and then we will jump into our conversation for the episode. So I guess please tell us who you are.
Hi, Farah. So my name is Sadie Wackett. A bit about me, I'm based in Florida. I've been here for about 10 and a half years. And I'm originally from the UK. So I moved over here for the role that I had, which was in human resources. Had my daughter over here, so she's now 8.5. And I guess we thought we'd probably come over for 1 or 2 years, but 10 years later, we're still here.
That's so funny. I think about my own journey to California, very different from the UK to Florida. But I remember thinking, oh, it'll just be 1 year. Okay, maybe 2. And last week, officially 10 years here in California.
It's funny how that happens.
So Sadie, the other question I have for you is, because I like to let folks introduce themselves, I'm always curious, when I ask, tell us about the space in which you're making an impact, how would you introduce yourself with that consideration?
Well, I would say 2025 has been the year for me to define what I want my impact to be. And so now, today, in this season anyway, I'm dedicated my impact on working with women, specifically with women who are at a crossroads, like facing some kind of transition. And I know this from my own personal experience, that we can be running on this conveyor belt of achievement and success, and then we get to a point and we feel like, is this what success feels like? 'Cause it doesn't really feel like it's what I want anymore. And then we're left kind of with those uncomfortable thoughts and feelings with no way to turn with them. So, and for what it's worth, I think there's a lot of women experiencing this kind of dissonance at the moment. And I know how much support I wanted and needed and got through this time. And I want to be there to support others with that. So that's how I'm thinking about impact right now.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you see that dissonance manifest?
Well, I think, there's a big piece of it which is kind of somatic and physical. If we look at the amount of people suffering from burnout these days, hard to quantify, how many people that is, but I do believe it's disproportionately women who are suffering with burnout. And I think a lot of that isn't always from excessive volume of work. It's actually being in an environment or with people, or doing something that just doesn't connect and align with your own values. So I think it shows up for people where they just feel this sense of frustration, stuckness, to feel lost, disengaged, switched off, meh. That's the best way I can describe it. So I think, and I work with a lot of women now, and they're just, they don't have time to really, or even necessarily the capacity to question these feelings, because sometimes if you actually start to ask yourself the hard questions, you don't really want to hear the answers to what's coming up. So we find ourselves just accepting, well, this is just life, isn't it? This is just, this is just being a mom, isn't it? This is just, being a wife. This is just having aging parents, isn't it? And this is just the way it is, but never really allowing themselves the opportunity to say, does it have to be? Could I choose something different if I let myself? And that's where really the work is. And I would say, like, my own experience, I think, the way I think about it is that we often are walking through our lives sort of asleep or sleepwalking, just on autopilot, just ticking along. And it's only when you're able to pause and allow the kind of things to come to the surface, so to surface the tensions, the frustration, the stuckness, and understand what it's saying to you, that you can then start to make more intentional choices and design lives that are much more intentionally rewarding for you. And I'd also say, it really doesn't necessarily mean that you have to burn it all down. You don't have to quit your job. You don't have to leave your husband, or, it's more of an inner shift that happens.
So much. Contain myself and remember, we do not have 10 hours. So I want to go back to the beautiful way you articulated what it is, right? It's the burnout that's not quantifiable, but it's the stuckness. It's the being in the environment that doesn't, all the things that you described, all in the meh, is that it's where it's not filling your cup. And then you pointed to, and then we have to sit with the questions that we don't want to sit with, because it's hard to answer those questions. It's hard to look at in the mirror some days. It really is hard, because if you are in front of the mirror and you see it, then you see it. You have to do. If you're sitting down with yourself and you're asking these questions, Now you're asking these questions. You got to have an answer. But you don't have to burn it all down. I love that. You don't have to burn it all down. But you can't sit in the burnout and expect to be refueled.
No.
So I love this, because it's that inner shifting. And as I shared with you, this season, we're focusing on the journey from resilience to joy. And what you just shared is kind of like, maybe all of the meh, and that is you're sitting in it because you don't realize you have options. You can choose differently. Pushing forward in resilience and choosing different is how you get to joy, or whatever it is that you're seeking. From your own experience, has there been a path of that for you that is clear to you now, and maybe a template that you even use for yourself, even on the day-to-day?
Yeah, I've got like a few things I want. So the first thing I'll kind of share my experience, but the first thing that I think I wanted to say when you mentioned that, looking in the mirror and asking these difficult questions and needing to have answers, the important thing for me is that you don't have to have the answers, and what you need to, and I think about myself in this case, if I don't have the answers, it's okay. It's okay just to surface the stuckness and not having to solve it just yet. And I think we live in this environment, in this culture, and the way that we've been conditioned to believe that if there's a problem, we have to fix it. And this is where I sit. We don't have to fix it. All we have to do is just start to see, feel, hear where the tension is, where the stuckness is, where the restriction is, and listen to what it's telling us, and don't do anything else. And in the meantime, we can learn to be quite kind, or kinder to ourselves, more compassionate. But I think that is a real, it's a systemic issue, whether you work in corporate or just, in any walk of life, you feel you've got to solve the problem. And I really, I think that's been part of my journey, is I am never going to solve me as a problem. This is a life's work, but the path I'm walking along is perfectly imperfect. I'm never going to solve it, but I am going to learn about the quirks and the patterns that I've got around, desperately wanting to belong and being the people pleaser and always overcommitting and being over responsible and having to be in control of everything. And those patterns, my patterns, have served me very well to a point, and then they just started to break me down. So I have them, I carry them around with me as, friends, as, parts of me that have made me who I am, but I don't have to fix them, but I just want to know that they're there so I can pay attention to them, and I can introduce other really healthy patterns in my life as well, which is what I've done.
I just have to pull this thread. I'm never going to fix me as a problem. I'm never going to fix me as a problem. Speaks to the other thing you said. This is life's work. Learning about ourselves is life's work. And I should share transparently with everybody, Sadie and I met through our coaching certification program. So I don't know about you, but I'm geeking out on a lot of this because it's our work as coaches and what we learned in a lot of this. And I also love that it's okay to just bring this stuff to the surface and just know that they're there. There is a lot that comes to the surface that is more for the awareness than it is for actioning.
Awareness is I would say is 80% of the work, really. Is just seeing it, noticing it, and because until you do that, you're blind to it, and it's in control of you. It's like some things inside pulling the levers. once you're aware of it, you've got so much more choice.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the other thing, is it's about having the awareness so that you can then make choices that facilitate more alignment.
Yes, that's exactly it.
And alignment over action, to me, wins every day.
Yeah.
Because that's where we go from action sometimes is about forcing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is about getting in the flow.
Yeah. And
right?
Again, like, I will keep coming back to this because this is it's a part of so I'm learning to be much more open and transparent with my own beliefs, my own opinions, my own voice in this area now. And you know, while I think and feel strongly that, you know, when raised awareness, you then have more choice. But let's be honest, we're still operating within these systems, you know, these power structures, whether they're political, whether they're organizational, whatever they are, they still exist. We can't have we can make choices which are in alignment with who we are and what we want, yet they're still being made within a system and a structure that we don't necessarily have control over. And again, it's being aware of that. Just being aware of that allows you some freedom to know that I'm making choices. I recognize there's only so much I can do here, but what I'm doing for me. And even that is quite, you know, groundbreaking for many, many people.
Can I ask, is there something that you do for you on a regular basis that reinforces that alignment?
I don't know. I wouldn't say there's something specific. I mean, I have a regular practice of breath work and a semi-regular practice of journaling. It was, you know, it was a lot more. It's kind of peaks and valleys. I do find it helpful, but it's literally my everyday now. So I'm now doing work for myself as an entrepreneur, and I have to look at what I'm doing every day and asking myself these questions. Is this serving me? Is this in alignment with what I want to be doing? If I find myself, which, by the way, you know, anyone that's made the transition from corporate to non-corporate, I mean, this is a thick skin to shed. The beliefs about what success looks like, what working hard means, you know, your identity as a valuable person because you earn X or you operate in this environment. So that is very, very, I'm working with that every single day at the moment, like trying to consciously connect what I'm doing with how I want to be living. And whether that is, you know, making sure I have conversations with values aligned people, who I'm helping, who I'm choosing to not help, who I'm saying no to, how present I'm remaining in my family environment, how much I'm able to connect back with my family back in the UK. All of these are like, I feel I'm probably somebody that thinks very deeply about this stuff a lot. So I'm constantly checking and balancing that I'm doing the things and being the way that is in alignment with what I've always wanted to. And, you know, 2025 for me, moving out of corporate into this space, I have never felt freer. And it's not like, you know, certainly there's a financial trade-off here, but I think I was like making dinner the other day, chopping carrots, thinking, oh, I've kind of like exchanged financial wealth for life wealth. And it's just a different currency that I'm playing with at the moment. So I don't have like you know, I was earning a very decent salary and now I'm not, but it's a different kind of wealth. It's not that, my goal isn't to sort of have that. That's not my goal. My goal is to be this. And it's been also, you know, that shedding of that thick skin, which is, you need to be earning X to be of so much value to society and to anybody. Yeah, so I'll pause there because I've just gone on a bit of a ramble.
No, well, we know rambles are opportunities. And so what I love about this ramble is so many little things that are the big things. The beautiful moment of joy that comes from the simple things like sitting and cutting carrots.
Mm-hmm.
But that speaks to presence.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm.
like being present
Mm.
to be able to do something simple
Mm-hmm.
and allow an openness for reflection.
Yeah. Yeah.
That gives me joy for you, right?
Yeah.
It's a reminder that then, therefore, when you're operating in a day-to-day of different currency,
Yeah.
it lends you the freedom to be more present.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's this beautiful cycle you
It
get
is. Yeah.
every day where maybe one day it's cutting carrots, the next day it could be, this is going to sound potentially so weird or cheesy, but we're January 17th when we're recording this, and I don't know what it was. This was not intentional. It just happened. I am really enjoying my mornings brushing my teeth.
Mm. Yeah.
It sounds so weird, but I think it was when I went home to Boston for Christmas. The mornings were very, very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I try to keep my morning sacred, as everybody knows who's usually listening. But there is this kind of hustle and bustle mentally as you're getting ready for the day. The holiday season did not have that. It was so quiet, just easing into the morning and the day. And I caught myself like really standing, brushing my teeth in front of the mirror.
Mm.
Now I'm back in the morning routine of brushing my teeth. It's about presence.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize before I'm brushing my teeth, and while I have the electric toothbrush, I run into the kitchen, turn on the coffee pot, then
Yeah.
the television to listen to the news, like something, right?
Yeah.
It's so quiet now.
Yeah.
There's a joy in the quiet little moments of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then the entrepreneur's journey, I have constantly heard from folks the trade-off, and it is usually of, well, I let go of X for Y, I let go of A for B. You are the first to say it's a different currency.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
from that currency, I now have X, Y.
Mm-hmm.
That's so important because it does tie to alignment.
Yeah.
And how you do get to now every day, am I in alignment, not just with what I get to do and want to do, but also the freedom to not do what I don't want to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think it all comes together so beautifully in a way that is an opportunity.
Yeah. I think as well, tying this to joy, as you were talking, I was really very intentionally took a little time at the beginning of last year to really dive into that question of what does joy mean to me, because I have never asked myself that question. And again, many people that I work with now, what lights you up? What do you love doing? I don't know. Like, there's so many people, because you as I mentioned, that conveyor belt, you go and you go to school, you get the grades, go to college, get the job, maybe get the house, the car, the family, whatever, and then you're like, oh, where's the fun gone? And so I took a journey. You probably have heard of Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way. Yeah, so I did that, and that, one of my core values, part of who I am is I am creative, and I've lost that creativity. And just this last year, being able to experiment with that and bring her back. And I'm not an artist by any means, but I love baking bread, and I love music and playing music, and sitting with my daughter while she's trying to learn the piano. There's capacity in my life now, and there's permission as well to do those things without guilt, without feeling like they're secondary or less than. And I know that it might sound like very cliche to people, that's fine, you get to bake bread, well done. But we can, if we're intentional about it, if we connect to the voice, the stuff that's churning away inside us, feeling like, oh, let me out, let me out.
Yeah.
There's these little pieces of us that they just want oxygen. And it was like when I left the corporate environment, and this came to me quite quickly, but I've used it a lot because it's the way that feels the most resonant. It's like somebody gave me a pair of glasses with the right prescription lenses in. And prior to that, there'd been the wrong prescription lenses, so I couldn't see clearly. And there was all this fog and kind of lack of clarity around me. And then somebody, it was like, oh, that's what I've been doing. That's the waters I've been swimming in. I get it now. Now I know why I felt like that. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I have like 10 more questions. We only have time for 2, so I'm going to ask 3.
Okay.
1, what are you breathing oxygen into now?
Well, that's a great analogy because when I like this last year, I have felt so much gratitude for the people I've met on my journey over the last year, and meeting those people feels like breathing oxygen when I've been, breathing smoggy air for a long time. So it's the people that I've connected with across many, many different, places, avenues, walks of life. And that's been like the oxygen I've been breathing this year. And that's, I want more of that in 2026 as well.
Amazing. Okay, so if we think of Sadie 20 years ago, and you, Sadie of today, gets to share with her one piece of wisdom that you have now that you absolutely need her to have. What is that wisdom you want to share with her?
Well, when you said Sadie 20 years ago, if I think back to Sadie that time, she was in a really bad place. She was struggling with anorexia, and I have a lot of compassion for me then because of all of the struggles that I had internally in my inner world. So what I want to tell her, and I, she wouldn't have listened at the time, but, let it go and put your trust in a bigger power. Like there is a bigger power at play here, the universe. And that if you put your trust in the universe, you will find your path. And trying to hold the grains of sand in your hand so tightly, they're just all going to fall through. So, I mean, I don't know what that message is really. Just hold more gently the life that you have in your hands.
It's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. I love that. And we will end with the following. This is the Living Fabulously Fierce podcast. If you had to pick one word to describe how you're living and introduce it as I am Sadie, I am living fabulously, fill in the blank. What fills in the blank?
True. True. I mean, just truth.
Yeah.
I may not need to kind of qualify that at all, but I believe that there is now, I have the capacity and the self-permission to speak and to live my truth, whereas before I didn't.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing your truth with us. I appreciate it so very much.
Thank you, Farah. You're an inspiration. You really are.
I appreciate that so much. This was a gift of time and insight and wisdom and just getting to reconnect. We haven't seen each other since last May.
Yeah, April, wasn't it? The Hudson
Friends. Yeah. So this is a treat for me, and I totally forgot about the time difference on your end. So like truly thank you for spending your afternoon, and thank your daughter for letting us have you.
Fine, she probably clicked into something.
And listeners, as usual, thank you so much for joining us. I take it not for granted in any form or fashion, your attention, your time, because you have so many options on where to direct it. But you've been here with us today. I hope this was a gift to you as much as it was to me with Sadie. And we will see you next week on our next episode. Thanks again, everyone. And Sadie, thank you a bunch. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Farah.